My name is Rosalie Little Thunder, and I think the buffalo issue is one that I didn't choose. It found me, and I don't think it was me specifically as a person, but it was asking for a lot of attention, the slaughter, and it's pretty hard to ignore that. If you're any kind of self-respecting person of the buffalo culture, you just couldn't ignore, the slaughter that goes on. And unfortunately, we didn't expect quick results or lasting results. Man's behavior takes many generations to change man's thinking. And so the slaughter has been going on. In fact, it's increasing again. This spring, over 200 buffalo were slaughtered again without any good reason. So a lot of people are discouraged, disappointed that so much human energy was expended, and we're back to square one, But I think it would probably take many generations to get off of that square one. But I think the mission is to change that thinking. We have a belief that what we do today, we have to think about the impact on the seventh generation. And so we have to do things now. It's so easy to get lost in the world of technology, the world of convenience, the world of comfort and wealth. That's where most people are. If it feels good, then they don't want that comfort disrupted. And so, with that kind of sedation, we have to keep that message alive that good survival, living on Earth in a good way, being a good relative to the Earth, isn't about living in comfort. Good survival is sometimes with a lot of hardship, a lot of sacrifice. And that's the important thing about our ways, the Lakota ways, is that the meaningful things, the things from the heart, the things that are going to make a difference, are the things that are going to cost us in terms of energy, in terms of our resources. We have to keep our thinking very pure of the things that corrupt us, as I mentioned, the comfort and wealth and convenience, the impulsive things. That's the one lesson I learned from my grandparents and my parents, is that the fun things, the things that feel good, are probably the things you shouldn't be doing. And so you choose the path that is harder. And on that path, you find your place, what you have to do in order to make a place for humanity here. We haven't made a place. We've came here, we were very rude. We continue to be unpleasant guests here. We don't know how to talk to the trees. We don't know how to compose songs with the wind. We don't know how to talk to the spirits. When our children talk to spirits, we devalue it by saying imaginary friends. And yet they're in a good place of being able to communicate with that metaphysical world that is always here. you know, and we're very arrogant, but we're very frightened people in a sense that we only believe what we see. And that to me is a very frightened being that won't acknowledge, you know, responsibility, that won't take on sacrifice, that turns from hardship, you know. And so we're in a very weakened condition yet. And so I'm hoping that maybe things like the buffalo will reteach us those things. The buffalo knows how to live in a good way. You know, it takes its responsibility very seriously. It's a manager of its ecosystem. You know, we learned those things when we migrated with the buffalo. We've forgotten them. With the first slaughter of the buffalo and their absence, we forgot. And so the struggle now is to keep them alive, but to help restore them to their natural role in being responsible in a good way. You know, the buffalo is very responsible in the way it takes care of the soil and the way it brings the water levels up, and in the way, you know, it reseeds the earth, and the way where it does not claim territory on the earth. You know, it's not ours to claim, but we do. You know, we fence it and say this is ours, and we even kill each other for that. You know, this place is ours, and it's really not ours. You know, no more than I can say that tree can be yours and this tree is mine. You know, it doesn't work that way. And so I think the hard thing to realize is that, you know, the message I keep giving is we can recover this good place for ourselves only if we give up a lot more. You know, we have too much. And my mother always says you can't ever dig a hole big enough to take all the things that you claim as yours, you know. So I think we need to surrender so much, and we're not willing to do that yet. So when we do things like hiking, you know, 500 miles, people just gasp. But we used to do that all the time. You know, it was a daily occurrence. It was normal. And I certainly have learned a great deal. I've learned, you know, our culture evolved around that way of living, walking. We were a walking culture. And so some of our cultural habits, you know, made sense to me when I was walking on the earth too. And right now I can't imagine not walking anymore, you know. And so it helps me, you know, make that connection between who we are, not at the top of the hierarchy, but being the environment, being a part of the environment. We talk about humanity and the environment almost as if the environment were there for us, that we are the center of that universe. And we're not. We're the weakest species. And because we don't understand much about the natural world. And I hope we just pass in a, leave the least bit of impact, you know, of our terrible ways. People gasp too when I say, well, let's leave something behind when we're gone. Of course we're going to be gone. We must be gone. We're just not good here, you know. So I think to me that is, you know, the relationship that we have with the buffalo is that hopefully You know, our big brother will help us stay around a little bit longer and be a good guest. You know, that's kind of diminishing humanity's role, but that's what we need to do. We need to do that to preserve the earth. You know, what I tell my children is just what I said: be a good guest and leave the least amount of trace, you know, behind you. Just live in a good way, you know. Be at peace with nature, with yourself, with other beings, with other human beings. You know, we're just here for such a short while, and yet we behave so badly. We do so much damage. We kill each other. You know, and it shouldn't be that way. You know, and then what? It would be like having children in your house that are gonna just bloody each other up, not pay attention to whose home they're in or the damage they've done, and just be so violent and then to leave. I mean, it's the same thing. So while we're here, you know, let's behave ourselves. Well, I think human beings need other human beings, definitely. And only human beings can bring peace to each other, you know, as we are. We should be able to find peace in the land, and we should be able to find peace in interacting with other living beings, but we also are a very lonely species, and so therefore we need each other. And to bring that peace or that education or that awareness, you know, I'm not happy, I need to be some other way. And so these gatherings bring that to people. They interact and they're at the same place, and they talk to each other, and they seek wisdom. They seek that same feeling, you know, and they find it among each other.
So having a camp and sitting around and sharing food together is gives us strength and helps us connect with each other. It's much, much better than the McDonald's or Burger King, I promise.
And so they can learn from it and go another, you know, 4 seasons in behaving better. And so I really think that these gatherings are very good for that. Reteaching, you know, affecting each other, and I think hopefully extending that learning out to the rest of the world. Because in the cities, you know, here you can find it, but you go down to the towns and cities and people are very oblivious, you know, to the natural world, to who we are. Looking at the next shiny object, you know, to buy, or again, still seeking more and more comfort. And so coming out here to these gatherings, I think, takes you away from that place, you know, that I call it pretense, that everything's cool. You know, it isn't. So it's nice to get out of there and come here. I wish more people would do it. I don't get too discouraged. I see so much damage and destruction to the environment and among people. But I think when I get up in the plane and look down, I can put it in better perspective, that the forces of nature are much stronger than we ever will be. And I believe that there are many other tribes, many other elders and other tribes that talk about the cleansing. I believe in that. I have to, you know, hold on to that. Mother Earth, nature has a way of cleansing herself of parasites. And so I think that we have another better world coming. Maybe we'll be a little different if we come back. you know. I don't care if we do. So, no, the earth will survive. The earth will survive.